Okay, guys, welcome back to a new video, and we got some pretty crazy news, guys, going on in the Middle East, specifically in Syria, guys, where the Syrian Civil War has exploded. It is unbelievable the developments that we have seen in the last couple of days. The Syrian rebel forces, guys, have made massive gains. They've captured Aleppo, which is a good map here, guys. Syria Live UA map where they've captured Aleppo within the last day. And the thing that's crazy, guys, relatively little resistance from government forces and Russian forces, which is a huge backer of Syria and its proxy at the proxy. And not only is it taking Aleppo, guys, to the east of the country, uh, we have seen massive inroads down Syria to the south, where the next big city that's potentially to fall is Homs, which has not fallen before. And guys, what's crazy is again, this is kind of where they are right now, and then we're seeing reports of clashes already in this general area. And this is a huge city. If Homs falls, then the Syrian government is in huge trouble. And then again, to be clear though, guys, the Damascus, the capital, is still far down. It's around 300 kilometers or so down south. But again, the interesting thing about this also, guys, is the fact that we're seeing reports of clashes in Damascus, specifically a potential coup attempt, guys. There's reports that the Syrian state TV went off the air for a while, but that's not confirmed. But where Syrian Republican Guard and the 4th Division in Damascus were being reported by the opposition media, the clashes are gathered inside the capital. So basically, different divisions of the Syrian armed forces are shooting at each other, according to multiple reports. There is reports of shots fired in Damascus, so a potential coup attempt underway, but it's unclear what's come of that and the veracity of that report. Number two, as this is all going on, guys, Bashar al-Assad is in Moscow. He's in Russia. Apparently, he was on a diplomatic visit. Since then, it's been reported that he's returned to Syria, but it could potentially not be true. Um, Regardless, though, it's a huge situation, and the reason why this is such a big deal, guys, this came out of nowhere. Nobody really was expecting this. Um, at the time. And again, we see they were mostly centered in the north of the country. The thing that's interesting about these rebel forces, guys, most of them, the main rebel force right now, HTS, is the one making massive advancements. But there's also a number of other rebellion groups, Turkish-backed militant groups, and American-backed militant groups. There's a number of different ones. So it's not extremely united, which is why it's so crazy that they're able to do this. And the thing also, guys, it's not that simple. It's not as though it's all peace-loving people. A lot of it is extremists in HDS and Islamic militants, ISIS affiliation, for example, as well. So it's not as though it's a very simple, replace the Assad regime and it's freedom and democracy for all. It's not that simple at all. But there is no question there's a number of rebels who are who want freedom for the country. But again, it's unclear if it'll be successful. But this is the most successful success they've had in years since the ceasefire that was brokered in 2020. And guys, let's be honest. The reason why this is probably happening right now is because of what's happening in the rest of the world. Like in Syria, for example, or excuse me, in Israel, for example, one of the number one backers of Assad and his regime is Hezbollah, who has been significantly weakened by Israel and the attacks on Hezbollah. They've taken massive losses, so they're unable to support the regime. And then, of course, in Russia, where most of their resources are being used in Ukraine, so they do not have sufficient firepower to kind of hold off this offensive. And we've seen reports of some Russian airstrikes, but not enough to halt advancements. There was a report earlier today that the leader of HTS, which is one of the rebel groups, was killed in a Russian airstrike. That's not been confirmed, but that's obviously a huge deal if it's true. Um, but again, the question is Assad going to flee the country, or is he going to return to the country and be killed potentially, or will he be forced to step down? It's extremely interesting. But I think the key here, guys, is everything happening in the world right now and global relations is why this offensive is probably being successful. It's a stunning turn of events. And again, like I say, guys, so the question, Homs here is the next major city that's probably going to fall, if it does fall at all. And then after that, they'll have the road to Damascus is around 300 or so, 250, 300 kilometers. So it's unclear. But I think the key also is what's going to happen if the government's going to fall, I think it's probably going to need to be a military coup. If this military coup thing is true, then the Assad regime's in real trouble, which is why I'm skeptical, guys, that Assad even returned. Because if this is true, you can't imagine him putting his life at risk. And there's a number of reports that a lot of his family members have fled the country to other parts in the Middle East. Um, but again, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And it's a battle for the Russians as well, of course. And the other thing also, guys, the Iranian regime is massive supporters of the Assad regime. And guys, according to a report, again, this is out of Israel, so take it with for what it's worth. Most of the Iranian strongholds in Syria are reportedly under rebel control. So it's a stunning situation. Iran has said they're not getting involved at all in the conflict. I mean, that's the last thing they need. But this also comes on the cusp, guys. We've been talking for a while now about the potential Iranian attack on Israel if one to come. I mean, there's been no talk about that recently, and you have to wonder, with everything going on in the Middle East right now, does Iran take an opportunity to attack? It's going to be interesting to see. But again, guys, crazy developments in the Middle East. The Syrian Civil War has exploded for the first time in years. And again, just for some context, also, guys, the Syrian Civil War started right after the Arab Spring protest in 2011, I believe it was. And this is the most success rebel forces have had in a very, very long time. So, after a period of peace, war is back on in the Middle East, in Syria. And again, if the government falls, guys, we'll get that to you immediately. And yeah, it's just crazy times. The world continues to become a crazier and crazier place. Thank you, and sorry for my voice, by the way, today, guys. I lost my voice yesterday, but make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. I think I said that, but yeah, crazy stuff, guys. Thank you, and I'll see you guys in a bit. Thanks.